Now, a message from the UN.
Woo! One more verse. Here in this bar since 1803, there's been some characters coming around here that aren't you or me. Way back in the 50s and the 60s, don't you know? This bar was full of spies because it's only 30 miles from that Iron Curtain.
It's true.
That's what my Italian friend said to me.
His name is Ricky. With the great mustache.
He's not a Super Mario brother,
But he looks a whole lot like...
but he looks a whole lot like him, you see. I see my light come shining from the west side to the east.
Come on, Ricky! Luigi!
Any day now, any day now, I shall be Ricky. Yeah, man.
I love you, Ricky.
I love you, Andy. All right, clap. Wow. And we're live. Andy Frasco's World Save Podcast. I don't even recognize you with this long, beautiful, luscious hair. My co-host today is one of my closest friends from Chicago. Andy Westby's in the building. Hey, say hi, Westby.
Hey, hi guys.
It's day one of our fall tour, and I got in town in Chicago, and I'm like, I could drive with the band, or we could just have a road trip. So me and Westby are on the open road. We're going to Milwaukee. I'm wearing my Detroit Lions jersey, your Detroit Lions jersey. Wear your hat too. Yeah, we're Detroit fans now. Shout out to Dan Campbell. I love that guy.
He's a beast, and I've always been a Detroit fan. You're just recently on the wagon.
Yeah, after Hard Knocks. But I've been like really diehard since the Hard Knocks. I've been like really caring.
Thank you. I appreciate that. America should get on the bandwagon. We're going to go all the way.
I can't take you seriously with this long ass hair. No, wear. I love it. You kind of look like a soccer mom who just got divorced.
I thought I was like a young Goldie Hawn. That's the look I'm going for.
So we're going into Wisconsin. Yeah, I know you're a Michigan guy, but you know a lot about Wisconsin. Tell us what we're going to do on a road trip.
We're going to stop at Mars Cheese Castle, which is the emporium of cheese and condiments. It's so beautiful. And
Like
awesome.
What's so great about it?
I mean, they have cheese curds, they have warm curds, they have cold curds, they have every condiment you could ever want.
Condiment, like good ranch?
Oh, yeah, good everything. Jalapeno mustard, and then they have swag.
Okay. What about what about Spotted Cow? They have good beer. Is that Wisconsin?
Yeah, you can only buy it in the state of Wisconsin.
Is there beef between Michigan and Wisconsin?
Not really. We're both kind of similar up north. Good communities, not Chicago. You know, we don't like each other's football teams. FTP, fuck the pack.
Fuck the pack. Wow, don't disrespect the pack on my podcast. A lot of pack fans on this.
Sorry, guys.
All right, so tell me more. I don't get to see you a lot. What's it been up to? How's everything going? Are you fighting the good fight?
Just hanging and banging.
Hanging and banging. Yeah. What have you been up to? I haven't talked to you in forever.
No, we're just living life. Beautiful fall this year. Waiting for the leaves to turn and just watching football.
You know who Lisa Loeb is?
Yep.
Who is she?
She's the singer.
Singer of what? What'd she sing?
You're beautiful.
That's James Blake, you dumbass. Is that James Blake? You're beautiful. Lisa Loeb's on the show. We're really excited. You know that song, Miss You? I Miss You. We're stoked on it. Big guests. We're getting big-ass guests on the podcast. And I get to announce we have Jim James coming on the podcast.
James?
Yeah, dude. I'm flying to Louisville, Kentucky.
Is that where he lives?
He has a couple houses, but I think I'm flying to Louisville.
Can I come?
Yeah, he got pissed. His tour manager, when we opened for Jim James in Chicago, this fucking guy. Why don't you tell him the story of how I almost got in trouble by my More Jackets tour manager?
Well, as it goes, I was backstage supporting my buddy Andy, and there was a bunch of coolers, and I looked for a nice cold beer, and there wasn't. They just had pop, but they had a banana. So I grabbed the banana off the top of the cooler. Tour manager was mad.
She ran after you. Hey, that's not yours.
She did, and I gave her the banana back, and she's like, "What else did you steal?" I'm like, "Nothing. You have nothing but pop," and that was it. Like, I still love their music, but the tour manager doesn't love me. But
Well, we apologize. She's a nice lady, though.
she is.
She was frightened of us because we were opening. We were just screaming like partying.
Job, yeah, we're different than them.
Yeah, we're a little different. We
different. Yeah,
we do scare everyone. But yes, we're on tour this whole week. This next week is pretty exciting. Let me see let me look at what dates we have. We have this Wednesday is Brattlesboro, Vermont. That's sold out. Thank you guys, Vermont. It's right next to Northlands Festival. You guys sold it out so quickly. I appreciate it. Fairfield, Connecticut, the land of Bitcoin. We're coming for you, Connecticut. A lot of rich white women out there.
find a wife out there.
I'm going to try to find me a divorcee cougar. Yeah,
Why wouldn't you?
Oh my God.
You could get like a sugar mama. Was that what they're called? Because you would be the sugar baby.
Yeah, I'd be the sugar baby.
You would be perfect. You've been a sugar baby most of your life.
So if you're divorced, we will give you a discount code for 30% off on the ticket sales. Then October 11th, Bear Creek or Briar Creek, Pennsylvania. That show's almost sold out. Shout out to Pennsylvania. Every time I roll in there, it's selling out. And then the 12th, I'm playing the Ramble Festival in Darlington, Maryland, kind of close to Baltimore. We're really excited about that. All our friends are playing. If you haven't bought tickets, go out there and support Darlington, Maryland. And then the last show kind of the tour is Buffalo, New York.
Ooh. You always crush in Buffalo.
I know. I was trying to take a year off from there because I felt like I was overstaying my welcome.
But they love you up there. I mean,
they love me.
They got the Bills, they got Bo, and they got you.
Andy Frasco in the UN. And then Halloween, and then I'm on that Bayless Frasco. Are you gonna do that Bayless Frasco tour with us?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Hobart, Indiana with you.
You're gonna come to that one?
Yeah. Well, let's talk more on Halloween. They got hit with weather.
Yeah, Halloween got fucked. Well, shout out to everyone. Asheville got fucked up too. We're thinking about you, Asheville. I'm trying to figure out how to do like a donation for the salvage station, donation for all the venues that got hit. Anyone got hit. If you guys have any ideas of what I could do to help, just let me know, and I'm here for it. I don't have time to do a benefit concert, but I'll give out a bunch of merch. I'll give out a bunch of free tickets.
You could write a check.
I'll write a check.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'll write a check, yeah. I'm in the JMC. How much money do you think I have?
You got some cash, you know.
That big check hasn't come in yet, but it's coming in April, okay?
That's
chill.
That's why I keep sticking around. Wait.
All right, let's go get some cheese curds. Let's go have some fun.
Yeah, we'll catch back with you.
We'll catch back with you. But Halloween, yeah, support Halloween. Did Halloween get fucked up? Swanee got fucked up?
I think one fest got canceled, but they're doing, Halloween's going to be okay.
Jesus. Well, we're thinking about we're thinking about you, the South. And then New Year's Eve, we're playing Florida. We're playing St. Pete with Little Stranger. Shout out to the boys of Little Stranger. They're crushing their headline tour. And then New Year's Eve in St. Louis at the pageant.
St. Louis.
Old St. Louis, the land of Ernie Chang. Ernie Chang he just announced, we've been holding the secret, but shout out to Ernie, he's having a baby.
No, let's go.
There's going to be another Chang in the building.
Chang.
That's going to be a big forehead. That baby going to have a huge forehead. We love you, Chang. We're happy for you. Congratulations, Amy. Congratulations, Ernie. The first band member to have a kid besides Floyd, but there was a kid in his life before he even joined the band. So this is the first one that's a real Frasco child.
Hopefully that kid stays away from the road and stays away from you.
No, fuck off. I think the road is perfect to grow up on. It's better than college. Everyone goes to college and now they have debt and they regret going to college. You regret going to college?
No, I'm paid.
You already paid.
Yeah.
You paid. Yeah, you're a rich boy now.
I'm a rich girl.
Don't let him fool you. He's a rich boy now. So anyone who needs a little dough,
just have nice hair. And
request Andy at Andy Westby, Andy-Westby on Venmo. He'll give you a couple bucks.
Okay.
Sarah's like, no, you ain't.
$1 a walk.
All right, guys. I love you. And be safe out there. Do you have any good advice for the people before we have them play Lisa Loeb while Shoregasm is doing some motivation for the people this week? What do you got?
I mean, I think keep going forward. Don't look in the rearview mirror. The past is gone. Keep the foot on the gas and keep fucking going. Go Lions.
Go Lions. All right, guys. Enjoy Lisa Loeb, and we're going to go on tour. Go Lions. You like my hat? I kind of love this hat. Sarah, can I have this? Fuck yeah. I love this hat. All right, bye, guys. I totally spaced out and forgot to talk about our sponsors during my little opening segment. Volume.com. If you want to watch any live stream, they have great live streams on there. Or if you want to stockpile your, watch our podcast. You want to go on a binge, maybe a Sunday binge, go listen to all the podcasts for this season, head to volume.com. And if you're a creator, head to volume.com/creator and get yourself on volume.com. Guys,
you can make money on there, by the way.
You can make money.
They got those, I can't remember what the money, there's like a thing on there, it's called, and you can tip people.
It's kind of like Twitch.
It's like everything. TikTok has
make
that.
the money.
Get your money.
It's good to have your content not just on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. It's good to have all your content and on all these platforms. Like, it just fucking helps. There's fan bases for every platform. You might as well grow your fan base. So head to volume.com.
And they don't make you pay to be on it like Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, they ain't doing that hoe shit.
I mean, that hasn't happened yet, but that's funny. Paying just to read other people's shit? No.
Yeah, no, silly.
I'm not paying to listen to Matt Walsh.
Hi, Lisa Loeb. How you doing?
Hey.
What room is this? This looks like an amazing room.
This is an amazing room. This is my office. It's also got a guest bed for naps and naps, good sleeping.
Oh, man.
It's got my map. It's got my map back there. It's got some paintings I've done. Actually, those were a while ago. I need to get back to some paintings. It's got all my arts and crafts. There's not that many of them, but there should be more.
Flowers.
It's got all my books and memorabilia, like photo albums and Barbies and
Do you need
a Grammy.
There's a Grammy there, guys.
Let's go. See, that's what I'm talking about.
More colors. There's more colors.
So do you feel like you always need to be doing something at all times?
Yes. Even when I am doing resting, I put take a nap on my list. There's just so many things to do. I don't feel like I have to do things all the time. I love when I feel like a teenager in my own house. And I'm like, what should I do now? Just I'll have some popcorn and watch a show. There aren't usually as many times for that, but I enjoy that.
Was it
But I do have a lot of things to do.
Was it like that during your childhood? What was your childhood like?
Yes.
It was?
Yes, it was. It was. Actually, I went through some of the stuff. Can you hear me okay? Even if I'm up here.
Great.
My mic is on here. Okay. Sorry, it's just my mic. My kids keep coming in here and my son likes to put his arm on the mic stand and I'm like, you're gonna strip this mic stand, and it won't stay tight. When I was, it's funny, I found a report card I found some report cards and I did well in school, but it was a report card from my AP English teacher senior year. And I think I had gotten like a B plus, maybe. And he said, I'd rather see a B plus Lisa Loeb with a lot of, with all of your other interests than an A Lisa without your interest. Because at the time I was like a DJ on the radio and I had a band and I was writing songs and I was in an indie film and I was president of student council and just a bunch of other stuff that I enjoyed doing and some that I didn't enjoy doing, like schoolwork. But I was doing all the stuff and I was surprised to see that. I didn't remember him thinking that about me. That was nice.
That's fascinating. Are you an overachiever?
I don't know if I'm an overachiever, but I like to do a lot of things and I like to do them well.
Yeah.
But it's just because it's fun to do them.
Right.
I mean, do you guys like doing things?
I love doing things.
And I blame my dad for never appreciating all the good things I did. I always had to do better and better and better, which made me who I am now because I feel like that type of thing drives success. But how do you approach success?
It's a balance,
Right.
It's funny. I don't remember my parents pushing me. it really, and they say that I pushed myself. But that being said, I think that the feeling of growing up in the 80s, I was in Dallas at a private all girls school. Like in my head at that time, it was like you were supposed to make 100%. You're supposed to do the bonus work. Like it was just like this feeling like that was the bottom line. Like that was
Right.
that was like what you were supposed to do. And anything less than that, it was like you weren't doing it right.
Yeah.
But I don't know where that came from because now I live in California and it's not the 80s anymore. It's the 2000s is. And with my kids, I just want them to do their best to do their best with the things they can control, like working together on scheduling and getting things done on time and going to sleep on time so you can get enough sleep so you can wake up, like learning to get on and off your computer. But it still can get really nudgy. Like
Right.
did you get off your computer? Did you study that thing? Did you
Right.
or I do the one thing that I do remember my dad doing, which I thought was actually, well, it was probably annoying at the time, but in retrospect and as a parent, I think it's good, which is when a kid comes home and they have a couple of things wrong on their test, you're like, oh, that's great. I'm glad you learned this. But let's look at the two things you got wrong. Do you understand why they're wrong? Like, do you understand what the answer should be? Sometimes you find out like maybe it was partially correct or you realize, wow, I just forgot to circle any answer on here or whatever. Like you can learn from your mistakes. And I think it's not that you're a bad person because you missed things. It's like, this is life. This isn't about grades. This is about, like, I remember when I was in college, I graduated and then I went to go get my final test or essay or something from my Japanese poetry teacher. It was English translations of Japanese poetry. But I went to go visit the professor and say, oh, thanks so much. I'm going to take my final whatever thing test with me home. And she's like, sit down. I'm like, no, I graduated. Like, she's like, sit down, let's talk about it. And I'm like, but I graduated.
We're done here.
But, yeah, I'm done.
But we're
Yeah.
done here.
And then I was like, oh, right. And it's like my friend Juan Patino, who I dated many, many years ago, his father, who was older, when he graduated from college, he's like, okay, now it all begins. It's like now. So it's that view of achieving. Like there's always, I don't know, I think it can light a fire under you just to really take advantage of life.
Do you ever get
I don't
mad?
know,
Do
what
you
do
ever
you
tell your kids they're a piece of shit? Like any of that stuff? Like, have you ever get mad? Do you ever get mad? I feel like you can never, it's not in you to get
What's your
mad.
ceiling for
Like,
anger?
what's your ceiling for anger?
I know I get mad. There's a million things. Like if I have to tell them to pick up their shoes one more time or get off the computer, I'm going to take that keyboard. I'm going to take it. You're not going to the whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I get mad.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound as mad as other voices because my voice is gentle and soothing. No,
Very
but I
soothing.
get mad.
Yeah.
I get mad if people are mean to each other, and I think part of the anger is me at myself. Like, why can't I say this in a way better so they understand it? And then they don't have to be in a situation where I'm having to nudge them and ask them over and over again.
Right. What do you get mad about yourself about?
I don't know if it's mad. I quickly reframe it into an area that I need to do better. Like just now, like I was in a writing session. I was in a songwriting session yesterday with a few guys. And we magically wrote a song, in 4 hours or something. And it's always so magical. I went in there and I didn't have any specific ideas because I didn't exactly know. There was something we had to write for, but I didn't know exactly what the story was or anything. So I figured, I guess we'll figure it out when we get there. And it wasn't for my own record necessarily, so I didn't have any ideas yet. And I got there and I was like, But we all contributed a ton and we wrote this song, really a collaboration, the four of us together, and we finished with a great song. And I thought, God, I've got so many. They said, oh, well, you could just bring any ideas. I know what they were saying. They were saying sometimes song placements are just like little ideas. They aren't even entire songs.
Right.
And I had no idea. I'd never heard that before in my life. I mean, I've written songs for TV where they just want 30 seconds. It's going to be a theme song and like maybe it'll exist in its full form or maybe it won't. But I never imagined pitching or sharing bits and pieces of songs that weren't songs. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I've got like hundreds of hours of bits and pieces of songs.
Yeah. Makes it easier.
Yeah. And I need to finish these songs. Like I need to do my homework and I keep getting sidetracked. Like that frustrates me. Like that's just such a waste.
What do you think of civilization with this attention span, this only 20-second attention
Right.
span now? Like, is it killing the art of song?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I think there's different kinds of songs and different kinds of writers who have different intentions. And I know from my own kids, they're, just like I am, I will change a channel quickly sometimes. And other times I'll listen to the entire thing and I'll listen to it again and again. And so I do think we all need to practice our attention span, including me. Like even in, conversation, I'm like, oh, how about this? Well, how about this one?
Yeah.
Right.
It feels normal to have like 5 different conversations at once, but I need to practice slowing down, just focusing on one thing at a time.
Right.
And definitely our phones aren't helping at all.
Do you think we're not getting to know each other more as we get more into the 2020s, 2030s? Do you think we're losing that sense of intimacy?
Yeah, I think it's very spotty.
Yeah.
I think it's very strange. I was just talking to a friend about this on Sunday. Because of this, there's somebody that I had met along the way. She was an acquaintance, and we started talking about arts and crafts, and like, oh, you should come over. I was like, oh, you should come over. There's this craft I like to do. I don't know if you ever did it. I'm Jewish, but we did it anyway. There's like styrofoam balls, and you take a stick pin and like a little bead and a little sequin, and you stick them in, and you completely cover like a styrofoam surface with like these sparkly beads and pins and we were both like, oh my God, I remember that from the 70s. We should do it. And then I actually called to see, or I texted her to see if she wanted to actually come over and do it. Like instead of just letting it be this idea that we talk about for fun at a party. And she actually came over and we actually sat there for like 3 hours. My thumb is still sore. I should have used a thimble. But like we actually did the craft and we hung out and we ate and we visited. And it was funny because the night before I was on Facebook thinking, gosh, I really love seeing all my different friends from high school and from when I was a kid and from different, my acting summer school that I did study theater in London. And I love seeing everybody's stories about what they're doing and their kids. And then I'm like, wow, it really gives me the illusion that I'm really close with them.
Right.
And some of them I am, and a lot of them I'm not. And then I thought, wow, I wonder if I really need to pare down my exposure to all, to just reading everybody's lives, because there's so many people that we've come to know through our kids, through our lives, through my siblings, through my friends' friends and projects and this and that, and so many amazing, interesting people. But how many do you have like come over to your house and do arts and crafts for 3 or 4 hours?
Right. Do you have any friends?
So I don't know.
Do you have any friends that you regret not giving that intimacy to because they passed away?
A couple.
Like who?
I feel like I should have spent more time with my Aunt Jane. I think I did my best, but we lived in different cities and she was also very shy. So it wasn't, I think I did some, I'd make a point to try to call her or talk to her, but I didn't know her that well. And then as well as I feel like I should have or could have known her. I don't know.
What was so special about her?
Who else? Well, she was my dad's only sister.
Yeah.
She knows my grandparents and all the family from her perspective, which is different from my dad's perspective.
Right.
I think there's certain things biologically, like DNA wise, that I have in common with her.
Uh-huh.
Some things that I think I overcame that she never overcame, like shyness and acting on things. She had a lot of hopes and dreams, but she didn't always have the know-how or the fire under her or the ability to break through that procrastination or the walls that keep you from doing things.
Right.
Do you think
Maybe even from seeing that, I was like, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it.
Do you think it's genetic to like kind of break the wall?
I think some of it's genetic.
I feel so too.
The evolution. Did you have that? Have you evolved at all from?
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I grew up in LA, always watching The Hustle, watching my really talented friends who I thought that were going to be really successful, just couldn't break the wall. And I was like the least success or least talented one, but I wanted it so bad that I broke the mold a hair.
Kevin Durant quote.
The Kevin Durant. Yeah, it's like, how badly do you want it maybe? Or do you think it's genetically like, you could see a goal and you could go through it? Is it like some people can't go through the goal, they could just dream it?
I can't tell. I don't know. There's so many variables. There's luck, there's talent, there's drive, there's the, it's funny, I have a lyric in a song too called Waiting for Wednesday. It's like, not that I'm better than you, but that I do it a lot. Like,
That is a thing, though.
just doing it and trying to block out the how good you are. Or although I think it's really important when you're trying to do something also in certain situations, definitely to be aware of your audience or people, your critics or your supporters or whoever, to try to keep you doing your best.
How did you?
But I don't know.
How'd you block out the critics and stuff when you're just trying to write art in the 90s?
I think I tried to eat them.
Did they taste good? Or?
No, I tried to devour them. No, I think what I tried to do instead of, I think I gave them, unfortunately, in some cases, but I think I gave them space. I would actually read what they had to say, or I would hear them, and I would try to quickly adjust if I felt that necessary, in order to be like, "What do you mean I don't do that?
Right.
I do this." Or present myself in a way proactively. I saw after the fact. I don't know who specifically, but there were people that seemed to always be geniuses. When the record label reps would talk about the other bands, like, "Oh, they're a genius."
Oh, right.
Oh yeah, that guy's a genius. He's a songwriter. He's a genius. So and I was like, God, why are they geniuses? And I'm like, they're not. Why am I not a genius songwriter? Too. I think there are definitely cases where I think people's songwriting or talent is above and beyond, definitely 100% more than what I'm doing. But there's equivalent people to me, I think, and they're geniuses. And then I started realizing, you put that in the press release.
Yeah, exactly.
You act like that when you're being interviewed on the radio station. You don't give them, you put the words in their mouth because they don't, you try to control what you can.
Yeah.
And then keep doing your thing. But what do you think? Like I hate when people are like, I remember in the 90s, one journalist was super mean and called me like a waif, which was like a really thin,
what?
like
a what?
Like a wafer kind of?
A waif.
Oh.
Not like a wafer, but like a WAIF.
Oh, that. Okay.
There was a really cool photo shoot that we did, and I was wearing this really cool.
Look at this white girl. She
embroidered
looked like a
vest.
cookie.
Yeah, she looks like, I would be like, do look like a cookie.
I'd love to be a cookie. Everybody loves
Delicious.
cookies.
I know. I have my cookie magnet that I had in my locker when I was a kid, and my ice cream magnet that looked like real ice cream and real cookies.
Come on, I just quit eating magnets. Don't show me
So
that.
why did someone calling you a waif offend you so bad?
No, it offended me because they were trying to take my power away. In my brain, I was like a rock guitar player, indie musician, made my own records, independent artist, had been doing it for years, made my own records, blah, blah, blah. I was a business person. I enjoyed knowing about the business of music, as well as completely separately making music, being really involved in everything, the art direction of albums, making videos, producing my records.
You're like one
playing,
of the OGs of
all
that.
the stuff.
DIY.
Yeah, and so then you see a picture of yourself that's kind of cool and stylish, but it was like my hair was a little fluffy and a little out of focus, and because it was artsy, and the journalist said I was a waif. It wasn't like she's a songwriter with guitar licks, or she's there was no. It was like just pull the
judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, and I am a small person, like I'm petite, but like just like take away and then other journalists would quote those journalists who would say something like that.
Oh, fuck that.
Because they don't want to do any of their own work.
I know, right?
Yeah, no one wants to work.
Exactly.
There's only one journalist, and then like 80
They
journalists
probably
copying
didn't
that
even
journalist.
fucking listen to the song.
Yeah,
They just like,
exactly.
let's see this
I
promo.
know.
I'm like, come get out of here.
There's one guy doing critic and 80 people
Why do we
copying him.
still listen to that shit, Lisa?
Copiers.
Why do we still listen to that
I mean,
shit?
Well, I also sometimes you can learn things from that stuff. You don't take it all. It's not everything you think, but I'm like, it's like you're reading someone's journal. You're like, oh, sometimes those lyrics like this can come off like that. And I can think, well, that's fair. They are kind of journally, or, it is kind of straightforward. Or, you know what? It wasn't meant to be straightforward, but I see their point. I got to dig deeper. Like try to take a step back and use it as something positive. But I also have had journalists for when I put out my last grown-up record about right when COVID was happening, I had at least 2 or 3 journalists who said they apologized what they had written about me in the 90s.
Oh, that's
Whoa.
nice.
That's cool.
That's
It's nice and also like, yeah, thanks. You should have like
30 years too
changed
late.
it.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
still have a job
too
with
late,
that
dude.
bullshit article?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got why?
You're still working?
You're still fucking working for 30 years?
Yeah, I thought every journalist got laid off.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I don't know. What's your relationship with like journalists? And
I
mean,
I
you take
attack
it with a
them.
grain of salt.
I attack them. I've tried to fight them, and it's stupid because it hurts my. I have like guilt. I'm like Jewish guilt. I have so much guilt that I feel like if I don't listen to it or don't read everything, then I might be missing out on something that could be productive criticism, like you were talking
See?
about.
Same.
Yeah.
It's the
So
same.
it's like, how does the guilt?
And you want to be strong.
Right.
You're
exactly.
like, yeah, I'm strong. I can take it.
Yeah.
Say whatever you want.
And then
I did
they're
this
fucking
on purpose,
mean.
So
And they're mean. And they hurt my feelings.
yeah, they're really mean. Like, why would you wear this? Why would you do that? My friend Dan Seiden, they have a band called the Round Band in college. It was amazing. And it was hilarious because somebody gave them a really bad review and they just put it, I think it was the Round Band, and they just put it in their CD artwork.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love that. Actually.
Lean into it, baby.
You know,
Steer
it's
into
kind of
the,
like,
steer into the curve.
you know, I got a few things I want to talk about before we get deeper into the later life of your career. I want to talk about high school. Being a Jew in Texas, not a lot of Jews.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Jews. Private school, not a lot of private Jewish schools. Were you
No,
like
I know like the 7 kids. I could still say their names.
I have to try.
what
You're
was
like,
that
we
like?
have to bring matzah. It's Passover. We have to bring matzah. And you go home and you're like not eating matzah, but you have to like.
Were you like a
show
super
up with the
Jew or
matzah at lunch.
Jewish?
We were Jewish. We were Jewish. I mean, we were Jewish. I mean, it was, my family's Jewish. We've been in Dallas and Texas for many generations at the same synagogue. We did all the Hallmark holidays. We all were bat mitzvah, bar mitzvah.
Yeah, same.
Went to Sunday school all the way through 10th grade, even though there were some missed classes, quite a few missed classes. We were confirmed.
We like to
We
have
did
fun
all
here.
this stuff. We
Yeah.
did all this stuff, but I was always very, I don't want to say cynical because I wasn't like mean and negative about it, but I was very like, what are all these people thinking sitting here in synagogue? And like,
Yeah.
Right.
can I stay awake this entire 3 hours? I did it. I survived Yom Kippur. You know, like I've repented for my sins. 'cause
Such
I
a
got all the
boring
way
holiday.
through.
Yeah. I grew up Catholic, and that
3.5
was
I
Easter
know.
Vigil.
It's a fucking boring holiday.
But now I've reconnected with Judaism, and I mean, not that I ever separated, but I realized I needed to have more of a personal understanding and connection with it at a certain
Right.
point during my grown-uphood, because I was like, why is it, especially when I was single, I was like, why is it hanging over my head that I'm supposed to meet a nice Jewish guy
right.
when I'm like, do I have to go to synagogue?
Right.
Why?
I don't want to go to
You know?
more synagogue.
And then I started learning more about Judaism through some really amazing teachers, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool. Actually, this is really interesting.
What'd you learn?
I like this."
What
I
you
learned
loved?
I started learning about the essences of different holidays and why we celebrate them, and how they can help highlight meaning in our life or give us structure. I learned that we don't know anything and we can just keep asking more and more questions. And this one rabbi I had, especially, he would talk about the historic context and the metaphorical context of things and poetic meaning. And it just became very like real, and it made your brain kind of get to a higher place. Like
Right.
that felt spiritual, you know, like that thinking and that understanding and the knowledge that you can feel like, I don't connect with this part, or and that's okay.
I think that's one of the beautiful things about getting older too. I had that same theory when I was in Hebrew school. I'm like, this is all seems like it's fictional characters, and as I get older, I'm starting to understand why people believe in religion. You know, there's like this, and you can pick parts of it. You don't have to do the whole. You
A la
don't have
carte.
to. Yeah, it's like we get older. That's why I was thinking about this, like going back into your music career when you were just do it yourself. You're fucking nose to the ground, working hard. And you had to give that control back to Geffen. Was that hard? It had been hard to like not have control.
I didn't love that, and I didn't really give the control.
No,
Like,
I bet.
I collaborated with them. You know, you work with them. We ended up with great art directors in the art department, and then for my first record, they hired somebody outside the company to work with me, and it was amazing. And then and then I worked with people in Geffen, and I always felt like I was collaborating with, and like how can I help the radio department? What can we do? My mom would call like, oh, the posters aren't up at the record store in Dallas, and then Geffen was super on top of that because also Edie Brickell was from Dallas,
Oh,
and
wow.
they knew they needed to keep the posters up in Dallas at certain record stores. But I learned that it was like really collaborative, and what I did get really frustrated with was the whole thing. You by my second record, they were like, "Oh, you need to write some singles," and you're like, "What?" You feel like you're in an episode of Behind the Music
Yeah,
on
right.
VH1. Like, and then they had to write the singles, but that being said, I ended up learning a lot from writing the singles and working with the musicians I worked with on those. And
Right.
what was frustrating though is when the record company, after a couple months, they're like, "Okay, we're done." I'm like, we're not done.
No, we're not. Not today.
So working with major labels, when they get to the place where they're done, but you're not, and they won't let you go, and they won't really support you doing your own thing. But it's like, that's what musicians do. We all keep touring. We all keep
Right.
playing these songs until we feel, until it's time to make the next thing. And then we work on that thing. And so we should all work together because we're just going to help you sell more records. So if you'll help us a little bit, it will help us a lot.
Did they?
So that kind of thing was frustrating when they wouldn't tell you everything because you're the artist and
Right.
they won't. Yeah.
Did they give you a bigger leash because you had such a massive single?
I always thought, at least for the first record, they did, because
Yeah.
the single was a #1 hit when I signed
It
my
was
deal.
fucking
with Geffen.
huge.
Yeah, you were already
You're
proven.
huge.
But I think, it's hard to know when I look back, because that's what I always think, that I had a good amount of confidence. I had a great following and great music friends in college and right after college. And so it felt like things were going well for the most part. They were looking up. But, and I thought that because this weird song Stay, which didn't really have a typical structure or a chorus,
Right.
because it became so popular and it was a kind of a typical type of song I might write, I thought that gave them confidence in me. But I don't know. I still don't understand like how they decide what's a hit and what's not a hit.
Right.
I definitely think when record companies start putting a lot of money into a song, it helps the chances a lot
Right.
of having a hit. But I know so many, like we all do, amazing songs that are not hits per se. They're not on the charts or something, but they're amazing. So I don't know. I just don't know.
How many songs did they say no to on the single world until they finally gave you some dough for some single
A whole
money?
album's worth. At least a whole album's worth. They're like,
Holy
well,
shit.
just need, you turn in an album and they're
Yeah.
like, well, I'm not sure I hear a single. And you're like, which is why on my record Firecracker, which was my second Geffen record,
Right.
my single I wrote was called I Do, which was You Don't Hear It, But I Do. And it was about the record company not hearing a single,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I do. And
That's awesome.
I'm like, I'm going to write the most straightforward song I can write. It's going to be so easy to understand. It's just like a walk down G chord. It's just going to be so easy. Like the first thing I play, that's going to be the chorus. And,
Right.
and then they made it like a top 40 hit. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if the song was good, or
Were you
if I
pissed
had
that was the
because
song
I was
that got
passionate. I was passionate and angry, and I think that authenticity comes through in relating to audiences. I also think a record company promoting something is helpful.
Doesn't
Yeah.
hurt.
So I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just sold a song to Zach Brown, and it was a song that didn't even make my
Wow.
record.
Mm.
And it was just a sugar, just a song about smoking weed. And I'm like, that didn't make me. It was like, it's not making my record. And they're like, it's it. It's the single. I'm like, am I overthinking music? It's like, do you ever get
that's
to that
the
point?
thing.
Are you overthink? Like, do you feel like you overthink music sometimes? Like,
I overthink everything. I overthink everything.
I
And I,
do
think some
too.
of it is being very thorough. Some of it's just being thorough. And I was talking about the band called the Round Band, my friend Dan Seiden. And I remember working, and I can write a song, in 3 hours or 2 minutes or 20 years it could take me to write a song. But so I was working on this one song so hard, and Dan happened to be around, and he's like, "Oh, you have anything you're working on?" And that makes me so nervous when people are like, "Oh, you have anything you're working on?" I'm like, if it was done, I would have played it for you already.
Right.
But I was like, okay. So I played him this song I was working on, and he goes, "Well, you're done. You're done." I was like, "I'm done?" He's like, "Yeah, you're done. You're done with that." And I was like, oh my God, it's that same thing from
It does
earlier. I'm
help.
like, how many songs do I have that are done? And I have no idea
It's the
that they're
overthinking.
totally like,
It
I
goes.
don't know.
It goes back to the religion, though. It goes back to religion.
Yeah,
You don't need
yeah.
to like have all of it.
Talmudic.
You could just need a little bit of it, or like just know what parts you need to feel complete. Why do we feel like we need
Which is-
everything to be fucking perfect to feel complete? You know?
I don't know. But that's been a fun thing as a songwriter recently, like just trying to say like, that part doesn't matter. Or what I do is I stand up when I'm writing lyrics because because when I listen to music, I'm not like, hunched over listening to like all the lyrics and the clever things
Right.
happening. I'm sort of walking or driving or
Right.
things hit me more in a different way. And to try to write the way that I listen to music is a skill I'm trying to continue to be
interesting.
better at.
That is a very interesting.
And it's more fun to sing them live sometimes.
Yeah.
And people understand them better more quickly sometimes.
I do get better melodies in my head when I'm out for a walk than I always forget to write them down. You know?
I know. Or like when you're
You
sleeping,
gotta write 'em
Do
down.
you
Yeah.
forget? Do you wake up
Ugh.
from a dream and write stuff down as much? I try to, but I never. end up
I
doing it.
have
Yeah?
a couple times, and then a couple times recently, even I remember I was like, oh yeah, I don't know why. I'm like falling asleep. I'm like, yeah, I'll remember this tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know. What about
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to know the train. So when Kevin said no more, we're done, and you had to move to A&M Records.
No. That was actually not a we're done. That was a we're selling, our record company's getting sold
Oh,
to
so you just got
A&M,
lost into the
Interscope,
system.
blah, blah, blah. So you're still signed to us. And it was funny because the person who became in charge of my record was this guy, Ron Fair, who was an A&R, like a really major A&R person who, when I was in college, there was a guy who wanted to sign my band, Liz and Lisa, to EMI Records. And Ron Fair was the head guy.
Yeah.
And not only did Ron not sign us, he fired that guy.
Wow.
He fired that guy who started his own record company, Rob Gordon. He started What Are Records. He worked with the Samples and a bunch of other
Yeah,
bands
great
based
band.
out of Colorado. So Rob wanted to sign us to EMI in college. Ron Fair didn't sign us. Then cut to 1994. Who's in charge of the Reality Bite soundtrack at the record company, RCA? Ron Fair.
Oh wow.
And he put my song "Stay" onto the Reality Bite soundtrack.
Oh man.
And then cut to, and I didn't sign with RCA Records. I signed with Geffen because they were more of like an indie major label feeling
Yeah.
record company. And also the guy who signed me, the A&R person, this guy Jim Barber, had been a fan for many, many years before I had songs on the radio.
Right.
He'd seen me at all the music conferences and all the showcases and whatever's and shows. But anyway, so then Interscope buys, takes over Geffen, and A&M is also part of it. And guess who's in charge of my record? Ron Fair.
Fair.
Wow.
So he's back again. So I was making, so that's when it got really frustrating. I was working with Jimmy Iovine and Tom Wally over at Interscope, and
What were
I
they
always
saying?
felt like I was like too organized or something. Like I would go in there and I would feel like we're going to have a business meeting about the record. And they just kind of, like, I didn't catch their attention. You know, they had other artists on there, like Courtney Love, and I think a lot of people who were more dramatic and more, I don't think it resonated well with them, me playing them songs. And then,
Right.
like, I remember Jimmy Iovine coming to the studio at Bob Clearmountain's. We were mixing because we were getting close to finishing this record. And his BlackBerry didn't work. He couldn't be on his, he was often like on his BlackBerry, I remember, in meetings with a hat. But he was actually listening and he was like, oh yeah, some standout tracks, which in my mind was like, he likes the record. There are standout tracks. To me, that means like singles or,
Yeah.
and then Tom Wally, also one of the main guys, he's like, oh yeah, like to me, he seemed to have pointed out certain songs he liked. And then I had a meeting with them soon thereafter and they're like, when are you going to start the record?
What?
And I'm like,
Are you
what's
kidding me?
happening?
It's like
No.
Twilight Zone, dude.
All these guys that never picked up an
It
instrument.
was like the
too.
Twilight Zone.
So
It was like the Twilight Zone, and it was this weird feeling where like you know what it's like. You're making a record. It's the same as
Right.
when you're an indie artist, as when you're with a label, you're making it, you have a process, you're doing it, you show it to the powers that be, whether it's your best friends and your parents or the rest of the band or your record company.
right.
And you all like, yeah, but that just kept dragging on and on and on. And then Ron Fair became part of the process. And he helped us record some singles, which meant like re-recording some of the songs, like in a much more expensive studio with studio musicians and all this stuff.
Right.
We spent all this money, and then it still wasn't. They still, you could tell they weren't super into it still.
It's not the magic.
But they put it out. I know, but they put it out anyway, and they weren't really promoting it very well. It was really, really frustrating. And you're like, can't we just promote this? Oh, and I think at the time, the album was called Cake and Pie, which is a philosophy of mine.
What is it?
Like if somebody offers you cake or pie, you can say cake and pie. You can have it all.
I'm with you on that.
So anyway, we
Lisa,
called
you're
it Cake
the
and Pie, and I was obsessed with the Food Network at the time, and I was working with Dweezil Zappa.
You were
and
dating
he was
him, right?
making the record with me.
Were
And
you
I was
dating
dating
him?
yeah.
Yeah.
And we were making the record together, and we approached the Food Network to see if they wanted to. We wanted to do this thing that Interscope wouldn't pay for, which was get our friend who's a chef to make pies on stage at like some events, at like some record releases, the record stores. And Interscope wouldn't pay money to help us like do that promotion. We're like, but it'll be so cool. It'll be like we play music, our friend makes pie on stage, and we give out samples to everyone, and maybe we have like Cheesecake Factory or something as a sponsor, and they're actually helping us give out the pie.
Yeah, right.
And they said no. But we went ahead and did it anyway, and it was super cool, and it got some coverage. And then we went to the Food Network and said, hey, do you guys want to highlight this promotion and this thing that we're doing on one of your shows? And instead, they gave us a show. So we ended up with a food show on the Food Network.
Was the label pissed that they said
cool.
no? And then you guys
They
got the
just
show
didn't
anyway?
They didn't care.
They don't give
didn't
a
care.
fuck.
They didn't care. No,
These guys are the worst.
And then along the way,
Such pieces of shit.
Danny Goldberg, who is like a big music business person, and Daniel Glass.
Glass?
They
I know
started
Daniel
a label. Daniel Glass and Danny Goldberg started a record label that was a boutique record label. And I was like, well, this is great because these are two really experienced people. And they're like, we want to take your album, Cake and Pie. We want to re-release it on our label because we think it deserves much more promotion.
Awesome.
So I moved over there, changed a few of the songs.
Is it hard to convince?
Changed the album cover. It didn't work. It still didn't work.
Fuck. That's what I'm saying. Is it hard to convince
I
radio to when you're re-recording an album? Is it hard to convince radio to like give it another shot?
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember Jewel did a lot of re-recording of her singles off of her huge record, and those singles did really well, and it worked. But the record company was behind her the whole way.
My buddy Steve
Atlantic.
Poltz used to date Jewel.
Steve,
Steve.
I wrote
he's
a
my
bunch
writing
of songs with her.
He's my writing partner.
You're writing with him?
I write with him.
Tell him I said hi.
I will for sure. It's
Lisa
so
Loeb
fast.
says hi.
We did some touring together. Tell him Lisa Loeb said hi. We did. I did a tour where he and Rufus Wainwright were my openers.
Whoa.
Wow.
Sounds like a good night to me.
Yeah.
Was this
That's a great night.
when Poltz was on the sauce still or no?
I'm not sure. Probably there was a lot of sauce, and I wasn't on it.
Did you ever get?
Because I was working.
I want to go back to this idea of this metaphor you're saying when you're not hungry, don't eat. You had a massive hit. Were you
That's
still?
just that's real life. That's real.
Yeah.
life.
So you had a massive hit. Were
The
you
other
still
metaphor
hungry?
was like eat cake and pie. Sorry.
I like your balance. You have a great balance in
I
your
love
world.
Don't
you.
have to choose.
You're the
Don't have
best,
to choose.
Lisa.
Just have both.
You're
And
not
also
a,
make sure you're hungry because then you can, eating donuts in the afternoon when you're hungry.
Yeah.
Best time to eat donuts.
I know. What about after you
So
got
good.
that massive success? Were you still hungry in your career to keep getting
Yes.
bigger and bigger?
Because it was like part of the, it's just like, oh yeah, okay, this is happening now. I was making records and touring and making more records and touring and making more records and touring and still doing the same thing, making more records and touring and then making more records and touring and trying to figure out what's fun. I mean, touring is really fun, but like recently my tour manager, I go out a lot with just me and a guitar.
Yeah.
And we were choosing different hotels and you want to be budget friendly, but I was showing up at a couple of the hotels thinking, this isn't really nice enough.
Yeah.
Like it didn't have to be the Four Seasons every hotel, but like, and then I would see a day off and there was a hotel and I'm like, well, is that the good part of town to stay in? Or is that like a weird suburb to stay in?
Right.
And he's like, he asked my manager in the sweetest way. He's like, so wait, basically when Lisa's on tour, it's a road trip and she plays some shows. And like, yeah, exactly. But you're like, like where are you going to get your food? Where are you going to get your coffee?
Right.
What is it? If you spend $30 more, $50 more a room, is your
You're happier.
quality of life going to feel like you're there and you're like,
We've been doing that too.
you're enjoying yourself?
Right.
We've been doing that
Yeah.
too. That's why I got the tour bus. That's why I'm getting hotels on our days off. Like, You have to enjoy it. I interviewed Steve Van Zandt, and he said some crazy things like, "You only should play every other day." I'm like, how do you make money? Just
He
play?
can. He can.
He can. We can't do that.
I was just talking to a guy who played with. I was working with a guy who played a lot with Aerosmith, and I think they did like a show and then 2 days off and a show.
Yeah,
And it was like,
delusional.
if you can do that, but they can do that. They can do that. I understand. You also need to be. I love that combination of the logistics of business also,
right?
and making the choices, getting all the information.
That's true.
Yeah.
So how do you do?
Sometimes you do stay in a
Yeah.
not the best hotel, but the location's good, and then you don't have to drive as far and blah blah blah.
Right.
Worst gig you ever played? The whole situation.
There's so many bad gigs. There's so many great gigs. Lately, the weird gigs have been, I mean, a lot of those radio shows where you'd literally hear
Oh, God.
people promoting it on the air. Back in the day, they're like, "Come party with Lisa Loeb and
Yeah.
Duncan Sheik," and I'm like, neither of us are partying.
I've
It's
never
not
seen
gonna be
cocaine.
fun. I don't know why you're saying that. I've never even seen it. Like, don't even talk to me about it. No, we're gonna get arrested. But also recently, what's been a little strange are shows that are not your own. You know, like I play some events that are amazing, great fundraisers for really great causes. And sometimes it's like a normal gig where everybody's like wrapped, RAPT, that's the word, wrapped.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
just listening and you're playing songs and you're all there together and you're trying to find songs that resonate with the event that you're playing
Right.
and it's amazing. And then sometimes lately, there's a couple of events where you get up to play and people are having like full on conversations like right in front of the
And
stage.
you're playing solo
And I'm
acoustic
like,
guitar.
solo.
I'm playing solo acoustic and I'm like smiling like,
Yeah.
what is happening? Like, why are you talking? Like I'm literally like
Right
right
here.
here.
You should just interrupt the
And they're like,
conversation.
"Hey, buddy, great to see you." I've been like, "Yeah, it's great to see you too." You know, like some guy like slapping the other guy's back, like, "It was great to see you. I hope to see you soon." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You say, I hope to see you soon too. I only hear when I want to."
Oh, it's
But then they don't
amazing.
get the joke. And then for
Yeah.
the people who are listening, it was like, "Oh, why'd I do that?" Like, don't. The people who are listening are listening. The people who aren't. But it's just so unusual to be like out of your natural habitat where people actually are just like listening to every word.
Yeah.
And then you play something that's not exactly,
Yeah.
you know.
It reminds me
Right.
of that movie The Wrestler when he's the old wrestler signing signing the autographs and he's like the other guy's like they're talking about something other shit. I'm like, I'd be so pissed, but I realize I still have a job to do for the 100 or 200 people that actually are coming out to the show.
Right.
Like, why are we so
Yeah.
focused on these two assholes not caring? Because they're in
I
the
know.
front row and they're
Right.
being assholes.
Like, why are you in the front row, by the
I
way?
used to, exactly. Well, I know in the early days, like when I was doing all those radio shows and people really were there to hear the big hits of whoever was there.
Yeah.
But you'd play a 30-minute set. And I remember at a couple of them, I played our song Stay early in the set. And people would just like leave.
Mm.
I'm like, what? But I would see guys, like, no offense to baseball caps, but the backwards baseball cap
Yeah.
dudes out in the audience who were just like, "Yeah, we're here." And I'm like, that's not the kind of music I'm playing exactly. And the songs of mine that are like that you might like, that are like rock tunes, you're not going to listen to because you don't know them yet.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And before I went out, I would be like, Jesus, I'd be like, think of Jesus, and they know not what they do.
Yeah.
You know, like they don't know. They're just having a good time.
Yeah.
Like, I
And
paid
I've
30
seen other
bucks.
artists get mad. I've recently seen another artist kind of talk to those people who aren't listening, or kind of make sort of side comments about like, "Oh, those people who aren't listening," or whatever. And it just doesn't work.
Makes
No.
it
It
worse.
doesn't work.
Yeah, it's kind of petty.
You-
Feels
Y'all
like
end up, I know, but when you're up on stage, I feel like every once in a while you need to say something so that
Yeah.
you can tell those people that you're like, I know, and you know, we know what's happening over there,
Yeah.
but just don't worry, it's fine. I don't care.
yeah.
Does that happen to you?
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
guys have weird?
Yeah, I'm in
Gigs?
a rock band. Yeah,
It'd be hard to talk over Andy's band. Let's put it
yeah,
that
we're a
way.
loud band. We're a loud rock and roll band. But I think about that a lot. Like I think about that with comedians a lot.
Oh my god.
It's so hard, and solo artists too. Do you ever like this crowd doesn't deserve stay? Fuck these, like you guys are being assholes. You don't get stay.
It's the encore. If you're
they
good, I'll play
paid,
it.
They paid. Yeah. No, I do. I play it every time because I know when I was a kid, I went to go see, even when I thought I was like cool and knew the underground songs, I wanted to hear songs that I thought were really indie songs, but were actually popular songs.
Right.
And I'm going to play those songs for them. I will say I played with Lyle Lovett. I was on tour with him recently and we were trading songs.
Sick.
Yeah, it was really great. And we're sitting and playing and he plays a song and then I'm like, oh, what do I want to play? And there was no set list. There ended up being some songs that you always wanted to play. And for me, yeah, I want to play Stay. Like that might be a song people already know.
Yeah.
Or they may say like, oh, right, I know that person. Or somebody might actually really want to hear the song. So there's a handful of songs and then a bunch of other ones I mess around and play this or that. We got a call from the promoter one day saying, you didn't play Stay last night.
Oh shit.
And they were kind of annoyed. And I just had no idea. I totally spaced. I just spaced.
Wow.
There's like a million other songs I might play, songs to tell stories about, songs to play. And I just forgot.
Who complained?
Somebody, I know. Well, the promoter. And the thing is, they could have just yelled it out from the audience. It wasn't like people weren't allowed to interact a little bit. But
Right.
What's Lyle like? He's my favorite. He's so good.
You love it.
I love it.
Boom.
Is he a nice guy? Or is
he's very nice.
Cool.
He's very exacting. He's really great storyteller on stage and off stage. He's really interesting guy. He has a lot of different interests. Well, he used to do ride motorcycles. A photographer. He's like a
So
businessman
crazy.
and a dad. He's got little kids. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Texan.
Do you like touring by yourself versus touring with a band? Does it feel like it's like less stress to just be there by yourself? I'm not asking for my own
This
opinion.
isn't any. Don't read into this. His
Don't read
band's
into
not
this at all.
downstairs.
No, they're not downstairs. But what do you like better, Lisa
Look, I'll tell you
Loeb?
how it's done. I like both.
Yeah.
Lately I have been doing a lot more solo shows. I mean, to be lazy, I don't have to rehearse at all, ever. I do run through certain songs, or if there's certain songs that I have trouble singing on stage. I also work with a vocal coach. If I'm like,
Oh, cool.
every time I sing this song, I'm like faking this one part and I'm like, oh God, I can't believe I just sung it that way. Or, ooh, that didn't feel right in my throat. What did I just do?
Right.
So I work on my songs in that way, but otherwise I have a really long list of songs and I try to rotate them around. And so it's really easy and flexible and fun. And I always go with a tour manager who's a sound engineer. So it's not like I'm literally by myself. I mean, I don't mind being by myself. I love being by myself, but I don't have to deal with a lot of logistics. Somebody's putting my equipment together and taking it down and all that. But I also love playing with the band. It's so much fun. I love all the different guys I play with, and we get guitar solos and harmonies, and it's really, really fun. It's also more costly because you're feeding and sheltering many more people. There's a lot of moving parts, and that can be difficult. If money were no object, I probably would do much more band touring. But that being said, I feel like the audience sometimes, like you said, when you're loud, people talk over you.
Right.
It's just a different thing.
Right.
I know even with some of my favorite songwriters, I remember Sean Colvin. I love her songwriting. And I have to say, even though I really like the band members who play with her, when she's just playing solo, or Bonnie Raitt, I really like that. Just
What a voice.
solo with a guitar. I just really like that.
Well, keep being a badass, Lisa. I'm rooting you on. I'm always have. Keep being a great mom. Keep being a great songwriter. Keep
world
being
needs you.
Yeah, the world needs you. And thank
you,
you for
and you
the
too.
advice. And good luck out there. My final question before I let you go is: when it's all said and done, what do you want to be remembered by?
My chicken enchiladas.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah! You make a bomb chicken enchilada?
Yeah, they're green chili chicken enchiladas. No, I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully being, I don't know, for a connection, remembered, through that feeling of connection.
Yeah. Well, thank God. We felt the connection
That
today.
sounds super groovy.
Taste those
No, that's a hard
enchiladas.
question.
It's a hard question. Like, I don't know. People don't want to talk about the end a lot, but sometimes
We all have experience.
maybe we don't need to think about legacy. I've been thinking of that too. Like, why do we have to think about legacy? Maybe
I
we
don't
don't.
like the word legacy always. It's very heavy. But what I do like, like I said, thinking about how are you living your life?
Right.
What's actually important to you. There are always things that you must do that might not be as important to you or as interesting to you to help support what is interesting to you.
Right.
So yeah, just living life to its fullest, whatever that means. Sorry, whatever that means to you. I'm getting a bunch of texts about the
Amen.
debate.
Oh yeah, do your thing.
man.
Go watch it. Amen, Queen. Go get them. Keep kicking ass. We'll talk soon.
See y'all soon. Thank you. Take care.
Bye, Lisa. Bye.